Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1, part 2, how to analyze the data that we just made with our fixed width file. Before we get started, I want to thank John just one more time, so thank you, John. In the previous episode, we learned how to import space-delimited files, also known as fixed width, and we learned how space-delimited files work in general. Now we're going to learn how to analyze that data in Power BI Desktop and how to clean it up a little. No data is good the first time that you import it. It's a fact. Here I have Power BI Desktop with a file that we just loaded. The next step is to go to the top where it says Edit Queries. We're going to go and choose the option called Use First Row as Headers. This option will rename each column to whatever the first data is in the row. So before, row 1 was segment, country, etc. Now, row 1 is government, Canada, etc. You'll notice that on the top right, there's a field for the type, which changes after you select each column. You select the type by using this drop-down. Let's scroll through each of these and make sure that they're all correct. You may have opened the query editor to find that the software had already promoted headers and changed the types. If so, great. But you still need to check them to make sure that it did it right. You can see that the header for units sold and sales got messed up. It's important to have the right headers in the beginning because you never know who's going to use this file and who needs to know what each column means. Let's go ahead and right-click on that column, and then we're going to rename it. After you've done all that work, it's time to close and apply. This will make sure that all of these applied steps on the bottom right are saved. The first thing that I always like to do with my new data is to put a title on the slide. So let's go ahead and use the text box feature on the top. We're going to start with a line graph. So to do that, you're going to go to Visualizations and click Line Chart. So you can see it creates a line chart here. Let's go ahead and spread it out a little. And then we're going to, with this selected, go over here and select the fields that we want. So I'm going to do sales and date. So you can see we don't have very much data, so it's a pretty boring line. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let's cut out quarter and maybe cut out year. And now I have months in there. So we can see all of the sales by month. If you look at the date field though, it had multiple years for each month. So that's kind of a problem if you're just going to rely on months. You got to keep that in mind. The other thing is that if we highlight this data, you can see the sales number for December. It's 5,368,443. But what? Pesos, pounds, dollars? The way to actually fix that is to go to the data context over here. So instead of report, we're going to data, and then we're going to click on the sales field. And here we said data type was whole number. See, there's not a currency option, but there is when you go to format. So I'm going to go to format, currency, and I'm going to do these in dollars. So we can also format the other fields by using the dollar icon here and then selecting English United States. Okay, now back to the report. So if we scroll down here, good, commas, dollar signs, now we know what we're talking about. If you're familiar with this data at all, you probably already know that the sales have this trend. The true power of this Power BI tool is that you can visualize the data in a bunch of different ways. So let's start by going ahead down here to page level filters, and we're going to do country and drag it down here. Now I have all these options for countries. So I'm going to choose the United States and Canada. But what's going on is now I have both of those combined. Still useful information as the chart changes right before our eyes. But let's go ahead and add a legend. Now the legend shows both of these options, both of these countries and their sales by month compared to each other. But the color's not exactly what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to go to Data Colors, and I'm going to make Canada a red, and let's make the United States, let's do a custom color and make it a patriotic blue here. Alright, that looks good. So we can see Canada has more sales in June, and if we highlight over it, it even shows the legend built into the little tooltip there. So Canada has more than double the sales of the United States in June and in December 2014. I wonder what is going on here. Maybe we need to do a new page and then we can look at the products. Okay, so down on the bottom you can see that there's a big yellow plus option. So we're going to go ahead and click that plus. Then let's add a text box. Again, we want to title our pages, so we'll say Darren's new page and Canada product analysis. And then let's italicize the bottom, the subtitle there. The way that we're going to look at this data is just a basic table. So let's go to visualizations, click table. We're going to put in sales and product. And then we're going to put in a country as the page level filter and choose Canada. And then we're going to do date as one of the values as well. We're going to click on the word date and switch to date instead of date hierarchy. You can see that the information is there, but it's also a little small. So let's go to the format context. We're going to go to values and then scroll to the bottom here and you can see text size. We're going to up that. That looks better. So then we can go ahead and drag this to the right and make sure that we're showing the data properly. And then let's also go back to the formatting and do the column headers. And we'll make those a little bigger than the data itself. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to center the alignment and I'm going to change the font. Why not? Okay, there we go. So now we can see which products are selling by month, but it still doesn't really answer the question. For that, what we need is a matrix. Now a matrix is kind of like a pivot table. So we're going to go click matrix and you can see it automatically changed the table that we had and formatted it how we wanted. But it kind of took away some of the formatting again because now we have rows. So let's do row headers, go down, change the text size. All right, now it looks a little better. And the dates are formatted kind of weird. So we're going to go to modeling, click on the dates, click on modeling tab. Instead of having this really awkward long formatting, we're going to go down to something simple. Let's do just the month and the year. Okay, now if you go back, you can see that the data's changed and it looks a lot better. Well, I think that's all the time that we have for this episode, so I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, again, please comment on them, connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe to the channel. If you have an idea for the next episode, please let me know. And you can always visit at LearnPowerQuery.com. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.